How many times have you been sitting in a room where you didn't know anybody and your first urge is to pull out your phone and get on your phone and doom scroll? How many times have you been in a line somewhere and the first thing you think of is to pull out your phone or look at your phone? Or how many times have you been in an area with multiple people and maybe you don't have your phones or access to your phones and everybody sits there in awkward silence? Hey everybody, Dr. Jones here with another one of your weekly messages. And this week, I'd like to talk to you about being social. You see, oftentimes we talk about human beings need to be social. We're social beings, after all. We don't do well in isolation. And as a matter of fact, when we're social with other people or groups of people, we elevate our mood. We elevate our ability to take in all of life and the good things that are going on, as opposed to when we're isolated and we start to feel down and there seems to be nothing exciting going on. And so inevitably, we turn to something such as our phone, online, scrolling, in an attempt to make a connection. Why? Because we want to be connected, because we're social. Now, think about sometimes when you're sitting somewhere and you see somebody, and instantly you start to make up a story about them, right? And you get a whole story of why they look the way they look, where they're going, maybe what they're doing, maybe what kind of day they had, all by the way they look, dress, act, walk, move, anything. And we do this because inherently we are social beings who read physical cues. So why don't we take advantage of that? Why do we so often falsely seek comfort in withdrawing, pulling ourselves in and away from interacting socially? Whether it's through our phones, which is low-hanging fruit for me to pick on, or some other act where we just don't mingle with people. We don't stop to talk to people. Instead, we'd rather create stories on our own, sometimes turning into gossip, which is a whole other story and not good. But at any rate, we need to make sure that we try to be social by taking that first step. Because once we do, we'll realize that we can have deep, meaningful conversations with people who are almost complete strangers. What? How do you do that? Well, for instance, if you happen to be somewhere and there's that awkward silence, people aren't talking to each other, they're looking away, instead of pulling out your phone or going to something else, why don't you say hi to somebody? And just by breaking the ice or even telling them a joke like, hey, that's kind of an awkward silence. What brings you here? Ask them a question. Start a conversation by showing genuine interest in who they are as a person. And you can do that by asking questions that have people talk about themselves, what they did over the weekend, why they're there. If you're at a party or a gathering and somebody's talking about what they do, don't ask them how long they've been doing it or where they do it. Ask them why they do it and what drew them to doing that. When you find out somebody's interest and have them talk about it, well, then they become interested in you, and it's a two-way street. You learn, and then you get to talk about yourself a little, and before you know it, look out now, you're having meaningful conversation, you're connecting, you're belonging, and you're being social. So next time you have that urge to not talk, to make up a story without knowing the background based on what you see, take a moment, stop, and pause. Doesn't have to be long. And reach down and approach them. That's the hardest step. Start a conversation instead of going to the age-old in your pocket phone or just looking around thinking about something else. You'd be amazed at how much you can learn and how much you can make somebody else feel like they belong and that they're social, thereby elevating your mood, making you feel better and more grateful for being part of this wide social network we call life. Because after all, we're social beings. Give it a try. I know you'll be happy once you did. That's it for this week. Thanks for taking the time. I never take it for granted. And as always, be purposeful, act with integrity, and continue to build your character. Now go be social.